I thank Dr. Harris for leading on this special order here this evening and appreciate the opportunity to be recognized. Number of things that I would point out. For starters, I chair the Constitution Committee for a reason. And the delivery by Mr. LaMalfa on California's horrible Reproductive Fact Act law, it's not facts, by the way, but it forces pro-life pregnancy centers to provide free advertising for the abortion industry. I don't think there's any question. If you coerce people to advertise for something that in the first place is immoral and directly runs against the convictions of the people that are volunteering their time and those who are contributing their resources to bring about a crisis pregnancy center, which is driven by the hearts of the pro-life community in America, I can't hardly think of anything more abhorrent than having that happen. Now, freedom of speech is one thing. It's that you can't limit speech, but for a state to impose speech, that's another level. That goes beyond. That's beyond the pale of the constitutional First Amendment rights. And so as I think about crisis pregnancy centers and what it matters and how it matters to me and the district that I represent, not long after I was elected to Congress, I went to Gabriel's Corner in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And I walked in there, a crisis pregnancy center, a building that was built in what was an empty lot across the street from Planned Parenthood's abortion center. And as I walked in there, they had a big picture window they had set up and a kneeler there so that you could be there to look out through that window and pray for those mothers that were going into the Planned Parenthood. And they said to me in that briefing that if they had that a 4D ultrasound, if a mother was able to have a 4D ultrasound then, this would be about, say, 13, 14 years ago, that 70% of the mothers would decide, once they'd seen the ultrasound, to keep the baby. And as we walked through there, we finished the tour, and I said, "Where's your ultrasound?" And they said, "Well, we don't have one." And I said, "Why not?" "We can't afford it." And they told me the price on it then was $100,000 for a refurbished ultrasound. And I said, let's raise the money for the ultrasound so that you can save 70% of the lives of the babies who come in here because of their mother. And so we set about the fundraising effort. I hardly got started, and an anonymous benefactor showed up and said, "Why are you waiting? Why don't you have the ultrasound?" And I answered, "We're raising the money." And he said, "Well, go buy the ultrasound, but don't tell anybody who I am." And so he wanted to be an anonymous benefactor. We did that, set up the ultrasound, and the annual dinner for Gabriel's Corner, the first little baby that was saved by Gabriel's Corner that we knew was brought along to that dinner. And I looked back in that dinner, and there was that man sitting at a table, clear back at the end, not talking to anybody, but watching. And wow, I have never forgotten what that meant. And on another occasion, an individual came to me and he said, "I'm in between careers, I need something to do." As we discussed this, it came to the foundational idea to establish Mary's Choice in Sioux City, Iowa. They went ahead with that, a Catholic pregnancy center, crisis pregnancy center, and as they followed through, they built that next to, or they developed it next to, Planned Parenthood's abortion clinic. And Planned Parenthood couldn't stand the guilt of people praying for them, so they built a big fence thinking that was going to block the prayers. Well, I think it had attracted them instead. And the last time I was there, I had my picture taken in front of the Planned Parenthood Center in Sioux City. There's a Century 21 real estate sign in front of there, and you can't read Planned Parenthood of the Heartland any longer on there except in the glue where they peeled the sign off. It's for sale or maybe sold by now. Progress has been made, lives have been saved, their respect for innocent unborn human life has grown, and to muzzle them or force a speech, not just limiting their freedom of speech, but forcing speech. And so I just looked at my iPhone here, and there are a number of ultrasounds that have been texted to me, and I'm kind of like, I guess I would say the #1 proponent of procreation in Congress as far as I know. Here's one. It says, "Baby looked good yesterday, moving like crazy on the ultrasound." And I answer, "This is so beautiful, I'll keep my prayers going. This ultrasound is an answer to them. God's blessings." Next ultrasound comes along. This is dated just last Friday. It said, "What is the heartbeat rate?" I sent it back. "What is the heartbeat rate for this perfect little miracle?" She answers back, 161 beats per minute. And then I answer purring along like a finely tuned racing motor. A little miracle. Yes, and she's moving all around is the answer. And here's the conclusion of this. Here, I just think this is so important to implant this in our memory. She answered this way, this mother, these ultrasounds are amazing. Watching her stretch and cross her legs, curl up her hand, suck her thumb. At 19 weeks, I can't imagine anyone contemplating abortion would proceed with it after seeing that in their own little baby. And that little baby is my little granddaughter. And I'm going to stand up for life so long as I live. She'll back.